All right. We have the man himself, David Howman. And we have Lou. And we have Landlord on the way. He promised me he was going to be on time, but that's okay, man. We're going to give him a pass. We celebrating. We have our DC in place. So, David, how you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, it's nice to have like actual news and have this search be over and have something to actually talk about now.
Absolutely. So now, one of the main reasons we obviously want to talk to you is because it's a lot that was happening before this. I feel, you know, me and you, I think we was kind of seeing this the same when I was just kind of watching your content. It seemed as if me and you was high on Daronte. That seemed from afar. Like, would that confirm to you? Yeah,
I mean, I the pie in the sky for me was Jim Leonard. I think, you know, a lot of people really like Jim Leonard, and there's a lot to like about him. But the more openings that there were that came open, the less likely it seemed like he was actually going to be the guy. And then, you know, with Daronte Jones, of course, you know, the more you learn about him, the more research you do about him, just the more impressive that he is. Obviously, he's been in Minnesota under Brian Flores, who's, for my money, the best defensive mind in the game right now. He's worked with Vance Joseph, Lou Anarumo, Marvin Lewis, Michael Zimmer. The list goes on, and you know, you look at his background, and it's hard not to be impressed. He had a year as the LSU defensive coordinator that was really strong. So I really liked him. And then with Christian Parker, you know, he's been that rising star, but he's also, like, you know exactly what you're getting with him. He's a Vic Fangio guy. So you know, I like more of what like Daronte Jones brought. I still like Christian Parker, but I thought, you know, Jones was who I would have gone with between those two.
Okay. Yeah. Lou, so, you know, I know your guy was obviously one. Did you have any questions about that before we kind of get into other stuff?
I don't really have any questions with Jones. I mean, yeah, I was very high on Jones as well. I thought he fit Schotti, you know, perfectly. We were just sitting back analyzing, you know, of the games. And I feel like the Minnesota game, he spoke loudly about a certain system, and I feel like he was going to target that system coming in. And we started to notice, you know, tea leaves, and I don't know if we want to go get into it now. But the two guys, I believe, and I firmly will still believe, going to the end of this search, that I think Schotti's number one priority was Brian Flores, and I think with how the interview went with the you know, the candidates, I thought the number one was clearly Daronte Jones.
Yeah, because you said some things, David, that was leading up to it that we was only hearing about Daronte, right? Because obviously Daronte interviewed, Gannon interviewed, then Christian Parker interviewed. So I compiled everything that was basically said, and we go just kind of talk about it. And I blended this between you and Nick Harris, okay? When I looked at everything that was said between you and Nick Harris, the words that was spoken was very impressive, very detailed, matter of time until defensive mastermind. That came from you. Impressed, efficient communicator, confident, surprise of the search. So, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, you know, Daronte's been maybe not overlooked in his career, but, you know, Christian Parker, we've been talking about him for, I mean, not we, the three of us, but like the league has been talking about him for a few years since he went over to Denver under Vic Fangio the first time around, as like, he's this rising star. And so, you know, when he went to Philly as their pass game coordinator, everyone was like, well, he's a rental there till he gets a coordinator job, and then when he's a coordinator, he's a rental there till he gets a head coaching job. Daronte Jones hasn't really been somebody that's been talked about that much. And I think this one, I think it was Nick Harris who said that he's kind of been the surprise of the search. And I think that's just because he's been an impressive candidate for a while. It's just now he's getting this consideration, and they sat down with him and they were like, oh man, like my assumption is they probably brought him in because of the connection with Flores. And then they brought him in. They're like, man, this guy knows his stuff. Like, obviously, like I mentioned, all the different coaches he's been under, he's been able to take a little bit from each of those different guys. And I think, like, because I think a lot of people saw, oh, he's the pass game coordinator in Minnesota. He works with Brian Flores. He'll come in and run the same exact scheme. Honestly, I think whenever we do see Daronte get a coordinator job, it'll probably be his own thing. Like he'll run his scheme. It'll have elements of Brian Flores. It'll have elements of Mike Zimmer. He was the defensive coordinator at Bowie State in, I believe, D2 not that long ago, and he pretty much ran a different scheme every single year there because he had different players. Like some years they were 4-3, some years they were 3-4. Sometimes they would change from week to week based on the matchup, and so that's just kind of his MO. He's going to do what the players are the best fit for and what's the best for attacking the offense that week. And like that's what I always want in a defensive coach. That's what speaks to me. And so the more I learned that, the more I was like, I want that. Who wouldn't want that, you know?
Right. Yeah,
it's the exact opposite of what we had in Eberflus. So it's
right. Yeah,
exactly.
A guy that was truly multiple, a guy that was truly adaptive. What's up, landlord? We got a super chat from Star. She said, Dave, thank you for speaking your mind and giving your opinion. I respect your work 100%. Very detailed and accurate. So coming from Stargazer, so we obviously appreciate you very much. So one of the things that obviously got everybody's attention as well was, what happened today. That really kind of spiked people's attention. And I'm gonna be honest, I felt like you took some bullets, right?
Yeah.
You took some bullets. I think you handled it well. I think you kind of had your chin strap on. You had to, because they was. I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this. Hey, wait. Can the man have his own sources and his own thoughts? But I know how Cowboy Nation is. Once we kind of get a new toy, we start protecting it. But let me read this, and then we go talk to you and get your thoughts on it. He said, as a separate note, I don't have firm info. So you was clear. You was clear that you was speculating. This is telling everybody that he's speculating. He said, I don't have firm info on this, but I do believe there was some pushback from ownership on Daronte Jones. I think, so he's making it clear that it's his opinion. I think Cowboys were as high on Jones as they were on Parker. Issues with Jones similar to issues they had with Flores if he were interested.
So, yeah, I mean, my opinion. But yeah, and I had somebody said that it was clickbait, and I was like, you got to have a link in there for it to be clickbait, right?
Right.
Like, there's nothing for me to. I'm not getting any clicks off of it. With Brian Flores, like I said earlier, he's I think he's the best defensive mind in the game. I'm a huge fan of Brian Flores, have been since he was in New England. And, when all the talk started in December of like, oh, the Cowboys might be interested in him, he might be interested because his contract is up. I was kind of leading the charge of saying, like, let's not get excited about it because it's not going to happen. He's not coming to Dallas. And we saw this yesterday when he inked the extension to stay in Minnesota if he doesn't get a head coaching job. Like, Brian Flores wants a head coaching job. If he's not doing that, he's staying in Minnesota. And, actually a year ago, and this was kind of what informed some of what I tweeted today, was a year ago I reached out to somebody close to the organization when the Cowboys were hiring for a head coach. And I asked him, like, hey, would Brian Flores even be a candidate? Is he someone that they'd be looking at? And it was pretty much shut down right away. Brian Flores, I don't think is I don't think that he's somebody that they would ever consider, just because, Jerry Jones, the way that he feels about certain things, the fact that Brian Flores is still actively suing the league, the reason he's suing the league, I don't think that's something that Jerry's going to go for at head coach, let alone at defensive coordinator. I think, again, I don't think Brian Flores was even interested in lateral moves, but even if he was, I highly doubt that Dallas is the one that he's going to go to, largely because of that factor. And I think the fact that Daronte Jones has been his right-hand man for the last 3 years, I think that played into it on some level. So I think when you've got Brian Schottenheimer and the coaching staff and they're sitting there and they're saying, hey, we really like Daronte Jones, we really like Christian Parker, either one of these guys would be great fits. My guess is, with that little bit of inside information on how they feel about Brian Flores, is that they would say, well, in that case, if it's between these two guys and we're kind of trying to, do some nitpicking between the two, Christian Parker would be the guy that we would prefer in that situation.
You mentioned that, some things that Jerry may not like about Flores, which I can understand is, him not getting his hands dirty with that lawsuit. But here's my thing, what I don't understand is, what does Daronte Jones have to do with the lawsuit? You know what I'm saying? Because right. In your post, you were saying it was opinionated. It was your opinion. You were speculating on it. What about Brian Flores, of Daronte Jones being tied to the man, made him unattractive or met with the pushback that we're implying? Because as people were reporting, Christian and Parker were like literally neck and neck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think part of it is the fact that they felt so good about Christian Parker. I think part of it too is, the whole Brian Flores lawsuit is built on his argument that owners across the league do not give a fair chance to black coaches, and that's what his whole argument is. You look at Jerry Jones. He's never hired a black head coach. He's never had a black offensive or defensive coordinator who has called plays. Mm-hmm. They've had Brian Stewart in the past as defensive coordinator, but Wade Phillips called plays. Chris Richard called plays, but he wasn't the defensive coordinator. So I think not only Jerry wouldn't be interested in Brian Flores, but I don't think Brian Flores is interested in Jerry, because he's kind of like ground zero for what this lawsuit's about. But, and he's if you look back in the history, he's had multiple instances where he's skirted the Rooney Rule, and then they've changed the rule specifically because of the things that he's done with it. So I don't.
Could you give an example? Because I'm not.
So I'll give you two examples.
Okay.
So
yeah.
When Jason Garrett was the interim head coach.
Mm-hmm.
We all knew that they were going to promote Jason Garrett. He went 5-3 as the interim. Everybody knew they wanted him, but at that point, the Rooney Rule said, hey, you only have to interview one minority candidate. So he calls up their wide receivers coach, Ray Sherman, calls him up on the phone, does like a half-hour talk with him on the phone, and says, hey, that was your head coaching interview. Cool. Now we can go hire Jason Garrett.
Oh, wow.
And so, and they like put out a graphic saying we've interviewed Ray Sherman for the head coaching job, all that. Check the box. And then after that, they changed the rule to say it's got to be in person and it's got to be with someone outside the organization. And then, of course, they had Jason Garrett for a long time. Then you go on and when they're replacing Jason Garrett, they quickly settled on Mike McCarthy, but they needed to interview somebody from outside the organization. Who do they bring in? Marvin Lewis, who had been out of the league for a year. I don't think he's interviewed for any other jobs since then. Mm-hmm. He and Stephen Jones go back. They served on the NFL's competition committee together. So, bring him in, get that interview off the board. Then you can go hire Mike McCarthy. And after that, and it wasn't necessarily just because Jerry Jones did it, there were a few other people who did it. Mark Davis, I forget who he interviewed when he wanted to hire John Gruden, but, owners were doing this for a couple of years at that point. And in response, that's when they said, okay, here, we're going to up the number of candidates that you have to interview. And then they also made it applicable to offensive, defensive, and special teams coordinator, as well as the QB coach.
Jerry, you done got the Rooney Rule on steroids with your.
You contributed to it.
I appreciate you giving me the details, because it was somebody else. Leslie Frazier, wasn't he a part of, like? Do you remember? Didn't we interview?
He interviewed last time around, yeah, because the two candidates that they interviewed, if my memory serves me correct, before hiring Schotti the two minority candidates that satisfied the Rooney Rule were Leslie Frazier, who, by the way, is the assistant head coach in Seattle. He's been a part of Mike McDonald building that great Seahawks defense. But they interviewed him, and then they interviewed Robert Saleh, who just got hired by the Titans. So it was a little more, a little less like in your face that they're not seriously considering these guys. Relative to interviewing Ray Sherman, who that was his only head coaching interview that he's ever done. All due respect to Ray Sherman, but they were making it very clear back then, like, we're not actually considering these guys. We know who we want to hire.
They just going through the motions.
Yeah.
Right.
So let me ask you this. I didn't know that's a rule that, I probably kind of figured that you have to interview somebody outside the organization. You have to. It's just like the Rooney Rule.
Right. That's been part of it since 2011, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I want to kind of show this article and kind of get your thoughts on it, because a lot of people have been trying to look at this hiring process and determine, is there real power with Brian Schottenheimer, right? That's, it's been a lot of talk about this is Schotti running this process. So I have paused with that, especially because, it was an article that came out courtesy of Mike Fisher, and he had literal citations at the end of Jerry. So I want to get your opinion on that and just make sure that I'm not looking at this anyway sideways. He said the concern with Jerry, he likes the culture that he's created. And this is him speaking about Jerry, not the citation yet. But then he said, and when he cites uncomfortability as an edge, he's talking about his coaches and players being uncomfortable. Whereas if Brian comes here, the uncomfortability victim might be Jerry himself. So Jerry, according to this article, seems to be the person that threw the cold water on Brian Flores.
Yeah, I mean, I buy it. I don't think that Brian Flores. I mean, his time as the Dolphins head coach, there was there was a lot of misinformation that came out in the wake of his firing, almost 2 decades to take them to consecutive winning seasons, and then he got fired for it. And so then they start putting out all this stuff about, oh, he was a dictator, and all the players hated him, even though all their players except for Tua came out saying, like, man, I miss you, coach, like, you made me better, all that stuff. And like Brian Flores has owned up to, I could have handled things with Tua better, but he has consistently been an intense coach. He's been a demanding coach. He's changed his approach a bit since he got to Minnesota because he saw a different way of doing things with Kevin O'Connell. I don't think it's a surprise. Kevin O'Connell does things differently than Bill Belichick. They're very different people. So he's seen a different approach, and he's changed it a little bit. But Brian Flores is still a very intense person. He's very much someone who he will speak his mind, and he will tell you exactly what he's thinking.
Yeah.
That's not exactly the kind of people that last around in Dallas these days. Someone that Jimmy Johnson would get along well with, but Jimmy Johnson didn't last in Dallas that long either. So I think that for the record, I think Flores and Schotti would have worked together well because, Schotti, again, like that article was saying, he likes having those uncomfortable conversations. He prides himself on building the relationship to where he can have those uncomfortable conversations. And when the Cowboys played the Vikings earlier this year, he was very complimentary of Brian Flores and his defense. I think they would have got along well, but I don't think it would have been a good thing for Brian Flores or for Jerry Jones for them to be in the same building.
Yeah.
Do you think the thing we just hit it on about Brian Flores and about him being able to speak up, and I'm going back to your tweet because you were saying you're connecting Daronte Jones, and I'm trying to picture in my head, okay, they were neck and neck with Daronte Parker and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the aspect, the talking back, the pushback, the thing that Jerry does not like? Would you say this contributed to be like a major factor in a neck and neck battle between Christian Parker and Daronte Jones, and who gets the job?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't say with certainty that was kind of the deciding factor, but I definitely think that was part of it. I think also, going back to what we were talking about with, Brian Flores and the light that he's shedding on the treatment of black coaches in the NFL right now. Daronte Jones, he's spoken publicly in the past about what his career has been like coming up as a black coach. He's talked about what it means to have mentorship from Marvin Lewis, from Vance Joseph, obviously now with Brian Flores. He also played, and then also his first coaching job was both at HBCU schools. He's been very upfront about that is something that is important to him. That's a big part of his identity. And I think that also was part of maybe in Jerry's mind is he's been around Brian Flores. He's clearly, if he's lasted with Brian Flores for 3 years and they're this close, he's probably on Brian Flores' side.
That's
do I
so
want that in my building?
That's toxic, man. I feel like we got to do better than that, man. So he guilty by association. That's crazy. See what I'm saying?
That's how I read it. Nobody has told me explicitly that's what the case was.
Yeah, I know you're not saying this for certain, but I mean, if you put the tea leaves together, you connect A to B. That's what it sounds like because I guess because of his public thoughts and talking points about the struggles of being a black coach has made him pretty much what can I call it?
Target.
A muddy type of hire.
Yeah, muddy.
Yeah. He coming with some baggage, you should say. But I don't agree with that, man. Especially coming from an owner that has sued the NFL himself. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how he made his, made his name. So, that's some hypocritical type energy that Jerry got. And he always been going right at the NFL, directly. Jerry was always a trailblazer in the NFL, going directly at them. So for him to say, you want to be standoffish on a coach because he got some turmoil in the NFL, I think that's very hypocritical of Jerry. And he made sure he voiced that about a couple of different candidates too. And it just seems like it was very eerie that those candidates was Flores and Daronte, two of the best candidates for the job. And I just think that's unfortunate. I like Parker. You know what I'm saying? That was my second guy. It was actually my first choice before Boss and Lou and Crew. You know what I'm saying? That sounds like a band. Boss and Lou and Crew had sold me on Daronte's story, man. The intangibles about Daronte what sold me. I was like, yeah, I like this guy.
Yeah, sleeping in offices.
Guy. Yeah, the dedication and the triumphs and tribulations he went through, man. I couldn't help but root for a guy like that. But when it comes to Christian Parker, he was my number one guy before that. So I'm not mad about it. I'm just saying, in Dallas, I feel like we struggle sometimes to put football first. And I feel like that's why we have these kind of results that we get frustrated about year in and year out.
And here's my thing. Because I this is not about Christian Parker and everything like that. This is the reason why we're highlighting this is because when we were depicting and trying to dissect this, we were labeled as conspiracists, and maybe you can help confirm this because you're late. You're giving us all these things about Daronte. A man like that, you should know his story off the first interview. How did he make it this far? You know what I'm saying? Because here's what we were saying. the reports came out that he was a great interviewer and that some people liked him.
Right. Some
people liked him.
Yeah.
But he got this far. And it's not about us getting the guy that we like or the guy we think. The problem is what I'm trying to highlight to people is Jerry, Steven, they got to the final press conference and they made a promise and said that Schotti was going to get to pick. And if he would have truly got to pick, then when somebody impresses, I wouldn't see some people be impressed. You know what I'm saying? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a little bit of a dance that Schotti's got to do, and I think that he knew that when he first took the job. I think because he'd been in the building for 3 years, he knows how things go. He'd been there with Mike McCarthy, and Mike McCarthy just he got to a point where he didn't really want to play the game with Jerry anymore, and that was a big part in him walking away during the quote unquote contract negotiations.
Can I say something about that real quick, just to throw some details in it? Because allegedly, what really made Mike McCarthy walk away was the fact that they tried to throw Jason Witten into the equation. That allegedly was the breaking point. Just that's what was allegedly happened.
So I've heard conflicting reports on that one.
Okay.
Because I mean, I think Jerry even floated the idea or like entertained it, whether or not he's doing his typical Jerry joking kind of thing or not. I'm not really confident if that was ever really broached in the conversation. I do know Jerry wanted a very short-term deal to keep Mike, and Mike was like you're giving me a long-term deal or I'm walking, and I think Jerry kind of thought he was bluffing, and then he walked, and then suddenly
I love it.
Dude,
we need to clap it up for Mike.
Ben Johnson. We don't got time to interview Aaron Glenn. I think Mike McCarthy just got tired of playing that game because that's not how it was in Green Bay. It was like, get me some good players, let me go to work, and that was pretty much it. And so I think Schotti knew what he was getting into, and there's a little bit of give and go. There's like kind of a sense of like I'm gonna get what I want, but I gotta first make Jerry think that it's what he wants.
And you gotta manipulate him,
right? And I think I think that was part of the Eberflus hire too, was because when you look at Matt Eberflus, he does have a good track record. He has had success in the past, and I think Schotti kind of felt like, okay, I can give in on this one. Like Matt Eberflus, we can make it work. Clearly it didn't, but I think because of that, because he was good with the Eberflus hire, I think that's given him some leeway in this search. Obviously not, carte blanche, I'll hire whoever I feel like it. But you look at the guys they've considered, very few, none of them have, with the exception of Jonathan Gannon, none of them have been NFL defensive coordinators. Daronte was at LSU. Jim Leonard was at Wisconsin. But they've gone after younger guys. With the exception of Gannon, they went after guys who don't have previous head coaching experience. That's what Dallas has typically liked. So he has been able to guide it to a degree as far as picking out the candidates. And I think, talking about Daronte versus Christian Parker, I mean, those are two great guys to be picking between, in my opinion.
Very good.
For us to be sitting here and saying, like, man, I wish we had Daronte. Like, we still got a really great defensive coordinator. I'm very excited about Christian Parker. So I think that's, especially when you think about a couple of years ago when they were interviewing Mike Zimmer and Ron Rivera, and I don't remember who else it was that they interviewed. But, I mean, that was a depressing list of candidates that they brought in last time around, Mike McCarthy's last year. And they've come a long way with how Schotti kind of led this search.
To me, that speaks volumes, though. Because, I wanted to play a game with all four of us. Tell me what percentage do you feel like this was Schotti? You know what I'm saying? Like, what percentage Schotti was involved? out of 100%. If it's 100% Schotti, it's 100% Schotti. But I think that'll tell us a lot, man, because like you said, I feel like this was uncharacteristic by a long mile. You know what I'm saying? By a long shot. Because you think about it, I feel like it was some politicking, and I feel like this is a win for Schotti, though, bro. Like, he might have didn't get his best guy, his main guy. He probably had to fight that. But I'm telling you, this feel like a win for Schotti to me. Real talk, because this don't sound like nothing that the Joneses would do typically at all. Like, not even a little bit. Think about it. I believe Schotti had to literally convince them, hey, trust me, we need to get this guy. He's inexperienced. He don't even have a real resume besides training up these corners and stuff like that, being a secondary coach. You have no previous history of calling plays. This is a big swing right here, y'all. Real talk. This is a big swing. And to me, it felt like Schotti had to do some convincing to get this done. So it's like, I feel like Schotti for surely the one who collected the candidates for the most part, because they all off-brand for the Joneses, in my opinion. How y'all feel about that? All these candidates seem very off-brand.
I definitely call Christian Parker, to your point, a Schotti guy, because I always said that looking at how he picked his offensive guys, he went after qualified strangers.
Strangers. Yes.
So I see the pattern with Christian Parker as well as Daronte Jones, like people that he was impressed with from afar, to your point, landlord.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying. That's why I'm feeling good about this. I feel like this is a Schotti W, y'all. It might not be the W that we thought he, you know what I'm saying? It might not have been the big W that we thought he should have or his first selection, but this is a monumental win for me. I ain't gonna lie. I really think it is. The more I think about it, I'm like, bro, this is very, very off-brand for the Dallas Cowboys. Like, you convinced Jerry to pay an inexperienced guy who you just believe in millions of dollars. I'm sure he at least got 2-3 million. You know what I'm saying? Millions of dollars.
Schotti put his
to
chips
call
in.
your defense.
He put his
build
chips
your
in.
defense.
Schotti go live and die by this.
That's what I'm saying. This is gonna be tied to Schotti for sure. This is him and Schotti tied to the hip. If this go well, it's gonna look great on Schotti resume. If not, it's gonna look bad on Schotti resume. And I actually think it's gonna go well. To be honest,
I want to say something real quick though about what's the point of all of this. To me, I wanted to hear from David. Like, I wanted to hear from a guy who put his opinion out there. And this was a sensitive topic to talk about because a lot of us was in love with, different candidates. Some was in love with Jim. Then some was in love with Christian Parker already. So, I felt like it's fair, and I really believe in this. If you come out and you make a bold statement, let's talk about it. Because I always seem to see that when you talk it and let people talk it out, you can kind of see sometimes where they're coming from. So that's just the lane that we try to walk in. So if people trying to say, what is this whole show about? We trying to look behind the curtain to look at the process as well. Because we go see this process again. These same coaches we love go be walking out the door tomorrow. So if we don't have any ideas and never looked at how the sausage is made, then we can make a mistake going forward. So to me, it's always good to stop, analyze everything what happened, and just try to get better from it. That's the main reason we bringing on David. David, I want to ask you and talk about a contingency plan, because Parker is like a draft pick. Every time we get a draft pick is, whoo, we finna win a Super Bowl. But sometimes these people can be bust. What's the contingency plan, David?
Like if Parker doesn't work out?
Yeah, I'm talking about like, boom. So yeah, cause see, you gotta imagine that. In my opinion, if we just got through with Eberflus, right? So with Eberflus, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't see that train wreck coming. I had way more optimism than that. Was you calling them a linebacker whisperer too, David?
I was. Yeah, I was.
He's done a lot of good work with some linebackers, but Kenneth Murray proved to be too much for him.
But they was looking so
Yeah.
good in the offseason, though. That's what was so crazy.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it was, to
Well,
be fair,
he's-
the linebackers was looking good before pads. I'm gonna be real particular. Before the pads came on, they was looking good. I'm not gonna hold you. But hey, after that, it all came falling down.
Yeah, I mean, Eberflus. It was funny because I was on the week leading into the week 1 game in Philly. I was on a Philly podcast and breaking down the game, and they said, this was a couple days after the Micah Parsons trade, and the guy quoted something to me, some article that predicted the Cowboys to finish dead last in defense, and I remember saying then, I was like, obviously without Micah Parsons, it's not going to be as good as it was, but I would be surprised if we were the worst. and
we was the worst.
I think technically we didn't finish the worst, but we came darn close to it.
Damn.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to because I think I got a contingency plan, but I want to open it up to see if anybody else had it. To me, I'm gonna just be honest. I think we need to keep shopping for a competitor D coordinator. I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah. So it's cause see, we gotta remember we dealing with a first-time defensive coordinator. So
First time play caller too.
To me, that says throw a bag at Orr as a backup, as a contingency. Recruit him over from somebody who might be trying to lure him, right? Like the Giants, because Harbaugh mentioned that he going after his Ravens guys, So to me, you closed the door. You did a good job of closing the door. You had a bird in hand with him, Parker, as well as Jones. But insurance, to me, makes sense, So I think we need to honestly keep shopping for, defensive coordinators secretly, And I like the ideal of and I'm just throwing this out here.
Consultants, advisors. How they put the general tag on them, the general label.
Yeah.
Advisors.
Yeah. So it's because he has DC experience. So you kind of, in my opinion, could be partnering a young DC with another young DC that has a little bit more spice to him.
I got 3 names for you.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
so this was I'll plug myself an article I put out on bloggingtheboys.com today.
Let me pull it.
Breaking down on
what's the
Christian
title?
Parker and everything you need to know about him.
What's the title? And I'll pull it right now so we can showcase it.
I gotta read that myself.
What you need to know about new Cowboys defensive coordinator Christian Parker. And it's down there at the bottom under the heading potential staff. Guys that he might bring on under him on the defensive staff.
Okay.
I was just about to ask about that.
Me too.
I want to know, is he going to be able to pick his own staff? Do y'all see that? Because with him being so inexperienced, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a collective effort. Because I told Boss, I don't think he got a crew. You know how most defensive coordinators come with their own crew. They like, I got my pass game coordinator. I got this. I got that. I don't think he got a crew because he's so young. The man ain't never 34 years old. You know what I'm saying? So how many people have he aligned himself with yet? You see what I'm saying?
I want them to duplicate what they did for the offense. Clayton didn't get to pick anybody. Everybody.
So it's all Schotti. It's the Schotti show.
It was purely Schotti.
I like that. I like that.
You know what I'm saying? Scouting them from afar. You know what I'm saying? Thought they were working good together, and they did working good together. So it's just going to be a collective effort with this. Go ahead, boss.
No, it was David. David was getting ready to feature his article. I guess he was getting ready to point us in a direction here.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So first one I'd go after, as far as like an on-staff contingency, Sean Desai, who is a Vic Fangio guy, was on his staff in Chicago when he was the defensive coordinator there for a long time. Sean Desai eventually succeeded Fangio as the Bears defensive coordinator. Only was there for a year because Matt Nagy got fired a year later. Matt Eberflus came in, didn't keep Sean Desai. He ended up later being the Eagles' defensive coordinator when Jonathan Gannon left, and halfway through the season, Nick Sirianni demoted him for Matt Patricia, and the defense got way worse when Matt Patricia took over. But Sean Desai is somebody who's been a coordinator for 2 different teams now, is very much a Fangio disciple, just like Parker. Makes a lot of sense to bring him on. Then you've got Jerry Gray, who's been a defensive coordinator with the Titans. He's been a pass game coordinator a few different places, been in Minnesota. He's overlapped with Christian Parker in the past. Right now, the last couple of years, he's been the assistant head coach on defense for the Falcons. I know the Falcons are retaining their defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich. I don't know if Jerry Gray's part of that, but if he's available, he's somebody that would be a very seasoned, very veteran addition, somebody who comes from a similar kind of background. He does a lot of the too high shell kind of stuff that is unique to the Fangio scheme as well. And then the third name, this probably would be the toughest one to get out of there, but Clint Hurt, who's currently the D-line coach for the Eagles.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, we know Clint. That's a good one.
He was the defensive coordinator in Seattle. He was the D-line coach in Seattle before that when Schotti was in Seattle. He's worked on a few different staffs with Vic Fangio, including overlapping with Christian Parker a little bit. So that's somebody that both Christian Parker and Brian Schottenheimer know. Obviously, he's with the Eagles, so I don't know. You know, the Eagles in the past, they've cycled through defensive line coaches, whether it was Doug Peterson, whether it's Nick Sirianni, they've cycled through those guys. So they clearly believe that they don't necessarily need to keep their one defensive line coach to still be dominant in the trenches. I mean, results speak for itself.
Yeah.
So if they can get Clint Hurt, that'd be a really good person because of the familiarity with both coaches. He's been a defensive coordinator before. He's very well respected with the work he's done on the defensive line too. So those are the 3 that I'm kind of looking out for that could be, if things go south with Christian Parker, who takes over. But also, I think if things go south, you're getting a new head coach.
Man, y'all clap it up, man.
Facts, man.
Clap it up. See, this that good football juice. Man. And see, this is how you show out. David just showing. Now you show off ass. Like I say, what's your contingency plan? Go to my article. Wait!
Popped you upside the head,
man. You already wrote it? Shit!
I like that.
Great work.
Great work.
We can promote Clint Hurt, right? But you
I
want
was
to
about to say, as long as it's a promotion, we good, right?
But yeah, the only conflicting thing, if you want to get shit, would you rather have Clint Hurt as your run game coordinator or as your run game coordinator?
Ooh.
That's my only thing.
Ooh,
you know what I'm saying?
Good
You might need
I think you always go with linebackers.
As a consultant. Give him
but
one of them fake titles. One of them fake titles like we gave Schotti.
But can Clint Hurt fix our edge problem? Can Clint Hurt fix our edge
and we
problem?
just promote him on up. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. Make one of them assistant head coach.
Yeah, like Schotti. You remember Schotti was just, he was just in the background. Now he's the head coach. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, listen, y'all. This is just the right thing to do because I do believe he's earning this. My boy Devin, he said, give He said, give Mr. Howman a follow. Listen.
For sure.
Listen, y'all.
I'm finna follow him right now.
That's definitely passing the test, bro. Because he didn't know I was going to fire off no question like that. And he like, I got a whole article on what you talking about. Man, that's what I'm talking
prepared.
When did you drop this?
He said today.
12:30 or 1:30 today.
Well, you
I'm
grinding.
about to say, because I ain't seen that.
Well, you grinding.
When the news break? When the news break like
So the news breaking, he already started building his staff. I'm gonna steal some of this too. I'm gonna steal some. Y'all make sure y'all follow David.
I just followed him. Everybody do the same.
He got another name. Let's go, David. Cook.
It's also in the article.
Okay.
But, so he doesn't have NFL coordinating experience, but Tyler Santucci.
You was breaking up a little bit. Can you repeat that?
Last year as the Ravens linebackers coach this last year. And before that, he was the defensive coordinator in a couple stops in college at Duke under Mike Elko. Mike Elko, of course, is the Texas A&M head coach now. Mm-hmm. When Elko was the defensive coordinator at A&M, Santucci and Parker were both GAs for him. The year before that, Elko was at Notre Dame. Parker and Santucci were also both GAs there. So they know each other there. Santucci's been a defensive coordinator on the college level, has ties to Mike Elko, who's a really good defensive mind. And then this past year was in the NFL. Could be available if Harbaugh if that's not someone he wants to bring with him to the Giants. Somebody else that I would target.
I like that name because Mike Elko is a very well respected defensive mind in college right now with A&M. Mm-hmm. He turned So
we need to do more work with blocking in the balls and David.
Yeah, I like that.
Real quick, somebody said, "What a mean world. We already undermining the coach." Well, I mean, you can look at it like undermining, or you can look at it like what Schotti said. Everything is competition. And so, how do you go through Matt Eberflus and not think to yourself to have a quality backup plan for defensive coordinator? To me, that's people not learning from history, in my opinion. So you can look at it your way, or you can look at it the way we looking at it, which is, in my opinion, insurance for a new DC.
That's gonna be my next question to Dave. If he heard anything, what's making them change their entire history? With previously with D coordinators with experience and going completely brand new. I know they want to follow behind their head coach, and I can tell Schotti was really emphasizing this because he flooded the pool with people that's very similar. But what made Jerry and Steven, front office, follow behind this?
I mean, I think Schotti's just, like he said in his introductory press conference as the head coach, he's great with people. And, I mean, and he is. I mean, all of us went into that press conference and we were like, man, I can't believe Brian Schottenheimer's our head coach. And then we watched it and we were like, man, Brian Schottenheimer's our head coach,
Yep.
Like, just the vibes got so much better the more you heard him speak. And
he gonna show you, right?
He's showing you. Keep going.
And but I think that also, like, because the moment that we saw him speak, we were all like, yeah, I get how after 2 consecutive interviews, Jerry was like, yeah, I should hire this guy.
Right.
And like I was saying before about Schotti, knows what the game is that he's got to play. I think he does a really good job of playing that game. I think his personality is a really good fit for Jerry Jones. He's got that kind of personality that, like, Jerry gets along with him. Jerry loves hanging out with Schotti. And then at the end of the day, Schotti can also be like, oh, hey, by the way, here's what's going to make our football team better. And he'll believe him because of who Schotti is. And so I think that's part of it, is he's already built up enough good that Jerry's like, I want him at Eberflus, and clearly go ahead and take the reins, and we'll see. As long as he passes Jerry's vibe check, we'll go with him.
The vibe check.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. That's exactly how I felt about Schotti. No lie. Because I felt like, you remember I asked the question one time. I posed the question. I said, do y'all, it's pretty evident, but you know how we look at it, like Jerry don't respond to force very well. You know what I'm saying? Like those tough coaches and shit, like what's his name? Flores. That would have been a hard-nosed, like fist, like battling type coach, and he don't like that. So you remember I said this, boss. I was like, I think the closest we'll get to getting exactly what we need out of this is somebody who gets along with Jerry.
Right.
Real talk.
You got to sell him.
And I feel like the best way we can get something close to a dictator, or like somebody that got the final word, like we say, will be somebody that's lockstep with Jerry. Because guess what? We know Jerry got the last word. We know Jerry got the last say, so it's no way around that. But a way we can have an illusion is if him and Schotti is lockstep. Mm-hmm. So if Schotti feel that way, Jerry feels that way also. So, by default, it's kind of sort of giving you the illusion, like put a little magic on it, that Schotti has the final say so. You see what I'm saying? That's the best method that I can come up with, being somebody who's, operating under Jerry Jones. You would have to be like his best pal to be able to convince the rest of the men, the rest of the people that you coaching, that your word is valid. Because guess what? All the other coaches, or a lot of the other coaches, when they say something, they might just backdoor and hit the Karen. You know how you get to calling people like, hey Jerry, what do you feel this way too, Jerry? Because this coach said, like, if you can do that, it's always gonna be some turmoil. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like raising your kids. Like if your mama say something, daddy say something different, it's not gonna work out right. That's why I got a method. I say what your mama said. You know what I'm saying? Before you try to trick me. Kids slick. I like what your mama said first. Then we can go on. Go ahead.
You guys remember Jalen Smith back when he was like? So I forget what one of the reporters asked him, but he was just like, "Owner ain't tripping, right?"
Right. Hey, I got a super chat. He say years ago, Stephen A. Smith said that the reason why Jerry will acquire players with checkered past is because of control. Same philosophy with the coach hire. I definitely believe there's some truth in that for sure, because he said himself he like going after the ones with the redemption stories. The redemption story, guys. Perfect super chat. Now, we got 10 minutes because I keep my promises. I say about we go do that. Thank you, David, for being a guest. So I'm going to make sure I stay within a window. So our tradition here is to box. So you have to box. I'm just going to let you know. See, we start sweet, but at the end, we got a box of philosophy. So you had a very, very controversial article. The 5 coaches to avoid. And it was one of them, I was like,
oh, hell no.
Yeah, so listen, I'm going to be myself, so I got to box you on this one. You had Al Harris in there.
What the fuck is that?
All right. So, now, I'm going to have your back a little bit, though. Just a little bit. Because you said he's a technician and not a tacticianer, right?
Right.
I was kind of thinking that on defensive coordinator, but me doing research, I started appreciating the technicians more than the tacticianers.
Yeah. And by the way, that's by Al Harris's own description when he coached in Dallas. He would say, like, he was very open about, like, I don't really do much with the scheme. I focus on the technique, which realistically is what your position coach should be doing, making your position room the best that they can be out there. I think a lot of coaches, you start out as a position coach, but you got your eye on that coordinator job because you want to be a head coach, and you got to be a coordinator to be a head coach. So it's like a lot of times these coaches aren't really focused on doing what their job is because they're trying to get the next one. I think Al Harris was focused on doing what he's great at, which is coaching up DBs to play the way that he did. And he's, for what it's worth, he's interviewing for the defensive coordinator job with Dan Quinn in Washington. So maybe now that he's been, he's a pass game coordinator in Chicago, maybe he's more involved in their defensive scheme there, and he's realizing, hey, this is what I want to do. Maybe that's changed. I don't really know. But that was part of it. Another part was when he was in Dallas, and this is something that Brad Sham has publicly said, this is what was going on. Brad Sham, of course, the voice of the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. And he said that there was a feeling by some people in the building when Al Harris was there that he babied his defensive backs, specifically Trayvon Diggs, specifically Kalen Carson while he was recovering from his injury his rookie year. And people felt like the defensive backs were getting, their growth was getting stunted. Obviously, Trayvon Diggs had a big, he rose to prominence while Al Harris was there. Deron Bland did the same thing, but neither of them really capitalized on it afterwards. Neither of them have been as good since. And injuries have obviously been a part of that, but there was a feeling that Al Harris wasn't really pushing them to be any better. And I think it's telling that when Schotti took the job, Al Harris was one of the first people out the door and went to go to Chicago. And I don't know exactly what their relationship is, but I think if Schotti really wanted Al Harris, the Cowboys would have found a way to keep Al Harris. They wanted to do the same thing with John Fossil. They just weren't quick enough to hire Schotti in time to keep John Fossil, and then he went off to Tennessee. But that was really the main reason for me in saying they should avoid him, because you don't want to have a defensive coordinator who's got beef with your head coach. You also, when Schotti's all he's preaching since he took over is, we're going to be accountable. We're going to have the tough conversations. We're going to be the toughest team out there. You don't want to bring in a coach that you think is babying your players. Whether it's true or not, that's not going to help your culture.
Right. I'm going to just say, I felt like it was a tremendous ball drop by Schotti. Tremendous. Because he stated it in his exit, the final interview that they had on the season, that his biggest thing was turnovers. It is nobody that has turnovers as a coach more than Al Harris over the last 5 years. And I put it like this: if babying your coaches go make them have defensive player of the year performances, I need to baby all their ass. You know, so, and you know, I do know that it happens to where coaches sometimes beef with the other side because they're competing. People think the players competing, the coaches competing too. Yeah. I just hope this wasn't a situation where Schotti let that competition get to him. You know what I mean? To where you couldn't rise above the rivalry. Because, you know, we see this in politics. You see Trump talking about Rubio hands. Now he on his cabinet. True or false, right? They had, right? Little Marco. And all of a sudden, y'all working together for the same agenda. So, you know, that was my take on it. And having you as a visitor, I want to tell you that, you know, that I feel like we dropped the ball on Al Harris, me personally, you know, and I don't for a second believe that he babied him, because I watched too many clips of him having Trayvon doing push-ups on the sideline, tough on him. I say, show me another coach that had an all-pro doing push-ups on the sideline for dropping the interception after he already had like 10 of them things. So, so anyway.
I ain't gonna lie though, like when it comes to that, I just feel like for you to nitpick, it seems like you would nitpick when you not getting the results that you desire. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like why would you nitpick on something that was great? Like that makes no sense to me. I'm sorry.
Man, I gotta get David on the show, because as soon as I see him, I'm gonna snatch his beard.
But
David,
to me, it just seems like, you know, this is the results-based business we in. You know what I'm saying? Because guess what? If they wouldn't have been performing, he would have been out the door anyway. So he had them performing at max peak level. So it's like, why would you mess up something that's working? Right. And I just don't understand that when it comes to that. I feel like that was kind of irresponsible. Al Harris was a bright spot. You seen what he did when he left here. He went straight to the Bears, top interception team. Like, it seems like he got something that he's doing right. Right. And I think we all can agree, if you ever play organized sports, or even if you're a human being, you know, everybody can't be talked to the same. Everybody can't be taught the same. Everybody can't be interacted with the same. It's just, if you're a people person like Schotti, he knows that. You got to be a chameleon when you're dealing with a lot of people. Like, you can't just come up to Dak the same way you come up to George Pickens. It's not the same. You see what I'm saying? So you got to know how to do it. And I feel like I think that was just a personal vendetta that he should have put to the side for the betterment of the team. Kind of like Mike did. Yep. Mike did the same thing. Jared tried to pin him against Dan Quinn. Yep, Mike was like, man, you can stay. He said, you can stay. We trying to win some games. Yes. Right or wrong?
Yeah. Sometimes Mike, you got to be a team of rivals. Sometimes.
Said, let's win some games.
Little Marco.
I think it's probably similar to what Mike went through with Kellen Moore, more so than with Dan Quinn. Because, you know, ultimately, I mean, so many people have put out stuff about the relationship between Mike McCarthy, Kellen Moore. All I'll say is this. You look at the offensive staff in New Orleans where Kellen Moore is the head coach. There's 3 different Mike McCarthy guys there. There's not any bad blood between them, but both of those guys wanted to do their own thing, and them doing their own thing did not work together. And when they moved on from Kellen Moore, there was definitely some bad blood in those first few days just because of how things went down. But Kellen Moore needed a fresh start where he could be his own guy, and Mike McCarthy needed to run his own offense.
Yes.
And I think, obviously, Schotti and Al Harris coach different sides of the ball, but I think what Schotti was trying to instill in the culture, he didn't see Al Harris being a part of that. And I fully believe Al Harris, whenever he gets his shot, at least as a head coach, we'll see how he does when he gets a defensive coordinator job too, but I think he's got a very bright future as a head coach down the road too. And it's not a case of like, well, Schotti didn't like Al Harris, so he's a bad coach. I just don't think that those guys would have fit together. Certainly wouldn't have fit with Matt Eberflus running the defense, but that says more about Eberflus than it does Al Harris. But I think Al Harris still has a very bright future ahead of him. I just don't think that, especially if he's your defensive coordinator in Dallas, I don't think Schotti's the head coach to have him as his defensive coordinator if they don't see eye to eye on things.
Right.
Yeah,
So
bottom line, I agree with that. If they don't get along, they don't get along. But it's like, put the differences aside. Let's win some championships or something. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's why I had David on. Exactly why I had that, because people see things different. We got a chance to talk about it. We right at that hour mark. So what we do is we give our final words. Let me say this, David, this can't be the last time we do this. We have a lot more talks we got to talk about. We got to talk about drafts, free agents, and stuff like that. I appreciate you being somebody that's in the community, that's putting out good information. We go definitely plug you. I appreciate you kind of speaking your mind. It wasn't easy for you to come out and give your opinion on what you speculated could be happening within the building between Daronte Jones and front office. That's not easy to do, especially after the announcement is made, because now he's our guy. Christian is our guy. How dare you speak about Christian? And then, but you came out still. It showed that to me that you're willing to speak your mind. Even on the 5 coaches to avoid, I didn't agree with the Al Harris, but it told me that you go speak your mind. So I respect it. My final word is we definitely got to do some more content, and we go definitely at the end, make sure you plug everywhere we can find you so we can continue to do more work and they continue to follow you. That's my final word.
Yeah, I think he was cooking.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all having me on. It was a great time. I'll definitely be back. Yeah, I mean, I'll always speak my mind. Sometimes my wife doesn't like it, but can't stop it. And you can find me on Twitter at _DH44_, and I speak my mind a lot on there when I'm on. Sometimes I go through weeks where I'm not very active on there because I got to take a little break. But when I get on there, I'll fire off some takes, and I'm not gonna back down from it. So give me a follow and enjoy some of the takes.
That's his final word. What's y'all final word? And we out of here.
I just say, I'm excited though, man. I know we get excited every year. Every time we get something shiny and new, we have a little more optimism. But I really do feel like, this was one of the right guys that I seen, man. Because I've been hearing a lot of great things about him. Like, I don't know if they being hyperbolic, but I've been hearing some fantastic things about him, like how nuanced he is with note taking and stuff like that. They saying that they believe he might have a photographic memory, like he LeBron James or somebody. Now he got superpowers. I hope it's true. And I heard that he do a lot of stuff like in game, far as like adapting to the situations and stuff like that. Man, I just hope he get a foul shot. You know what I'm saying? I hope he get a foul shot. We said we seen Clayton Adams didn't really hire his own staff. So we gotta follow that hurdle. We gotta see what happens with that. But if he get the right staff and he's given the power to do what he need to do, I think he's gonna be the right guy. I think he's gonna flourish. And I just want to see what he gonna do with Revel. Revel, I think he's a key cog in this machine right now. I really do. Like, I don't think, the Cowboys don't like to leave no food uneaten. You know what I'm saying? They don't like to waste nothing. So if they put that premium pick on Revel, they want to get all their ROI back from that for sure. So I want to see how he works closely with Siobhan Revel. And another thing I heard about him, he says he don't really, this came from him. He was basically saying that he don't care about the prototypical size. I love that. I like football see somebody players.
Play. Yeah.
Football players. That's what he said he like. So now I'm over here thinking, like, is he going to get my guy from out of Indiana, the short corner Pons? Is he going to take a chance on him if he does? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I might be interested in that.
Oh, hell no.
Get football players over the prototypical.
I'm in the black
all the time. Give me football players all day long. Because you know how many guys you passed up on just because he wasn't tall enough for you, and he go out here and he's just a dog. He's just a football player. We kept Jordan Lewis on the back burner for like 5 years because he didn't fit the prototypical size of most of the coaches. And then he got out there and balled out. And we missed him. Then once we developed him all the way, he
let him go.
Just because of y'all. You know what I'm saying? Because of these prototypical sizes.
I'm
gonna say that's boss fault. That's boss fault.
It's your fault.
It's boss fault. So yeah, man, I'm excited about some of the principles and the stuff that he represents. I can't wait to see what happens and how they build his defense. And hey, we're gonna see what happens, y'all. That's my final word.
Yeah, my final words is I'm gonna be honest with y'all. When I heard the news today, I was mad as I don't know what. Yeah, it was my guy, and I thought that was the best guy for the job. But I was on the way down, and then I ain't gonna lie, I saw Dave's tweet, and I got heated all over again, like pissed off. And I wasn't mad at David. I was mad that he confirmed, you know what I'm saying, that we was hinting at. It's like, oh my God, we gave somebody the job, and we literally blocked another man. And I was literally over here like, okay, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? I'm done. You know what I'm saying? We didn't give Schotti his guy. But listen, listening to it, I understand. I understand the decision they made. Don't mean I understand the way you're thinking. I'm gonna tell you that right now, Jerry. That's some fucked up shit. I'm gonna say that. I'm sorry, David. I'm gonna cuss right now. I do that a little bit. That's some fucked up shit that you don't want no damn pushback. A healthy pushback is always good for a football team. You're forgetting that you run a football team, and it's always healthy. So this is not a corporation. Like at the end of the day, I appreciate Christian Parker being a hire. I love that he's a new. I need to research him more. I love the people on his shelf, the people he's developed and everything like that. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not going to oversell him like these content creators are getting ready to do. I really do hate this season. God. I'm not gonna do that.
I just told you they say he got superpowers now. So.
Exactly. So I'm going to be for real. Because you know why? Because David was already doing the work for us. We need to be focused on getting the next step is getting him an all-star staff.
That's right.
Because at the end of the day, this is an experiment, whether we like it or not, for the front office. This is something we have never done before. So they're going to experiment with this. And with somebody who's young and inexperienced, I want to make sure that his role to the game, when he's going up against a Shanahan, when he's going up against a Sean McVay, who in the thick of it, into the thick of it, you know what I'm saying, as they say? We got to make sure when he get there, he has everything he needs. And that's what we need to be focused on instead of hyping him up. Making sure he's equipped with the right staff, then the personnel. I'm very interested to see what type of personnel he's going to need, what type of scheme he's going to run. Because everyone's saying, oh, it's just Vic Fangio. One thing about a disciple, they don't ever always run exactly what they've been taught. You know what I'm saying? So this is all going to be very interesting, but I appreciate Dave for coming on here because you highlighted the whole point I wanted to highlight is that there's a dark cloud and it loomed over this decision. And I've been telling Cowboy Nation because I know how they work. We know how they work. When that dark cloud is here, they're going to have a lot of influence on a lot of other decisions, and that's going to affect our means of winning. I'm glad we didn't get Gannon. Jesus Christ, I'm so glad we didn't get Gannon. Praise be it.
We dodged the bullet.
We dodged a bullet with Ganny.
Man,
But I'm so happy Christian Parker is here. Cowboy Nation, let's get ready.
Let's get ready. Man, thank you, David. To the next time, to the next live, to the next video. Hit that like and subscribe button on the channels. We out.
BossLand.
BossLand.
Yeah.
Our first guest. This was our first guest too, bro. That's crazy. We should have been it.
That's
Listen, but
crazy
he ain't gonna be the last. He ain't gonna be the last, man. David Howman brought the house.
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
Hello.